All right, so today we are going to make some hot chile. So what I've found is I get lazy and I don't want to make chile from scratch. And so what I found is if you buy just a quality fresh mild salsa out of your deli department in your local grocer, I usually like the mild better than the hot. But anyways, you buy what is this? 24 ounces of fresh salsa. We're going to get mild. And we don't want to make it mild. We want to make it hot. So what's a good quality thing to make it hot? Get out of the Oreos or habaneros. And so for approximately, 24 ounces of salsa, we use approximately 12 to 15 habaneros. So the first thing you got to do is wash your habaneros. And so we'll put those in a colander. And we'll take them over here to the sink. And we'll rinse off any of the pesticides or the other things that are grown in these. And let those drip a little bit over here. Meanwhile, while those are draining, we've got to put on our gloves. Now the reason you use gloves with habaneros is ultimately something will get under your fingernail or on your fingers and you cross-contaminate yourself with something really, really, really hot. You get it in your eyes, or perhaps you decide to use the restroom later on in the afternoon and anyways, it gets really hot and spicy, and we don't want that. So we're going to put on our gloves here in a second. All right, so we get our gloves on. Oh, these are a pain. Every good household should have some powder-free nitrile gloves. What does that mean? Oh, no!
It's recording. It's recording. Go.
All right, so we finally got our glove malfunction taken care of, and now we're going to prep our habaneros. Now the trick with habaneros is the spice is in the seeds and the white stuff on the inside. So depending on how hot you want it to be, you can leave the seeds or not leave the seeds. Generally, I like to cut the lids off. I generally cut them in half, and then I carve out the white stuff with the seeds. Because I found that the seeds aren't very digestible. And so we'll cut that off, cut the lid off. Not quite in half because you want to be able to get to that. You want to save the yummy orange parts. And then we cut that out. Now notice, this stuff is hot, so you have to be careful if there's any kids or pets or other things around. So with your habanero, to go through this one more time, we're going to cut the lid off. We're going to cut it about 40%. And then we're going to cut the white and the seeds out. Now this adds a fantastic heat without burning your face off. So we want hot, hot, hot chile, but we don't want chile so hot that it's going to make you die.
That's good.
That's good. A good IPA with habaneros is always good. Anyways, we've finished prepping our habaneros. Notice we're going to leave them whole. Notice we've got most of the seeds out. And we're going to put these in the blender, and then we're going to do some magic stuff with our prepared chile. All right, so the next step is blending our chile. And here we don't want the seeds, so notice we've got all our seeds, so we'll throw them over here. Make sure you clean your counter, otherwise your lovely wife might touch it and put it in her eyes, and then bad things happen when you get habanero juice in your lovely wife's eyes. So we take our chiles, and we just put them in our blender. Oh, I lost one. It's good to make sure your counter is clean to start with. That's always good, so put that in there. All right, so the trick here is to take your chile, and only use half of it in the blender. And I'll show you why here in a minute. But we'll open this up. I already pre-opened it. You take half of it, make sure it doesn't splash in your eyes. And you do about half the chile. And we'll leave half there and there. And then we're going to put it in our blender. And we're going to walk over here and plug it in and do our blending. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And we got to blend a lot because we want it to make sure that habaneros, you don't get any great big pieces. When you get a big piece of habanero, super hot. So we'll just put on this minute. Whoa! You gotta let it blend for about 2 or 3 minutes. All right, so that has been super blended. We've been blending now for probably about 5 minutes. And notice what a beautiful color orange it is. Notice we don't have a lot of seeds and whatnot. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to pasteurize. Since we put fresh chilies in a commercially prepared salsa, we want to pasteurize it and make sure we kill any bacteria before we put it back in the fridge. So that's our next step. All right, so now we're going to heat up our chile. We're going to bring it to a rolling boil for about 2 minutes to make sure we kill any bacteria that might have come in on the fresh habaneros. So we're going to take off our salsa. Be very careful not to get it in your eyes because this is super hot. And we want to shake this into our pan. Oh, can you smell the heat? Cameraman, can you smell the heat? No? All right, yeah, you can. Oh, this is good. If you want to taste super heat, that is mega hot. All right, so now we're going to take what we left over from our salsa mix, and we're going to put it in there. That gives us a little bit of chunky tomato and a little bit of onion and cilantro, and so it gives us the illusion that we made it fresh. So we're going to do that. Now we're turn our stove on, and we're going to bring this to a boil for about 2 minutes. All right, so we've had this on the stove now for about 3 minutes. Notice we've come to a rolling boil. We're going to heat it up, and we're going to stir it a couple times. And this is just to make sure that we're extra safe before we put it back in the fridge. There's one other step we've got to do. I'll show you that here in a second. We're going to take it off the heat because we've boiled it now for about 3 minutes. And we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of lime juice just as an extra preservative. So 1, 2 on there. And then we'll stir the lime juice in, and we're going to start letting this cool a little bit. While it's cooling, we're going to grab our original container here, and we're going to rinse it out. We don't have to actually wash it because we have boiling material, so we're going to rinse them out. I'm going to shake them up real good. Ready? All right, there we go. Yeah, like that. And so our container is thoroughly rinsed, and now we're going to add our boiling mixture to the container. And so we don't have to sterilize the container because we have boiling hot liquid. And notice it doesn't quite all fit. You got a little bit for a snack. And we'll just leave our lid off to the side for a little bit and let that cool down. And once it gets down about 100 degrees, we'll put it in the refrigerator to finish cooling. All right, so it's important to let this cool before you seal it up because you don't want it to explode in your fridge. But what's really nice is you can make a little bit aside to take off a little bit from here and there. And notice how liquidy it is. This is really, really fantastic to mix with frijoles, refried beans, or to put on your huevos rancheros, or to mix in a soup, or to eat with chips, or whatever you want to do. This stuff is absolutely fantastic, and it's really, really, really hot. We're going to taste it here in a second. So I used 16 habaneros and 24 ounces of prepared salsa from the local grocery store. And now we're going to dip a chip in it and see how it tastes. All right, so we got our chips here. We're going to grab one of these here and dip it in the chile. Now this chile is really hot, so you got to watch out. Both hot temperature and hot on the spicy scale. So anyways, if you're from the Midwest, this is probably too hot for you. If you're from the Southwest, this is probably right on. That is fantastic. That is hot. It's got a nice habanero taste to it. It's not so hot that it's going to rip your face off. It's just plain good. Anyways, this will make your mother-in-law proud, only in Idaho.